Today's lesson is called A Feathered Force. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to talk about a feathered force, which is all about albatrosses that, of course, are very, very large birds that fly and live over the ocean most of their lives.信天翁, I believe, is what you call them in Chinese. I've never seen one myself. Have you seen an albatross before, Jeff?
No, but I've heard they're very, very large seabirds, and apparently they are a force to be reckoned with as well. Now, I did not know this. Usually seabirds are not fearsome, but it sounds like maybe the albatross is. Be very afraid of the albatross. It's a feathered force. Now, is that what we're going to be talking about today? Not exactly, but we're going to find out that the albatross can be used in a very special way so as to make it a feathered force, so to speak.
Indeed, a feathered force. Remember, of course, sometimes when we refer to birds, we call them our feathered friends, our friends who have feathers. So birds, sparrows, pigeons, and albatrosses all have feathers. So this particular albatross has some kind of force. It's going to help us out in many ways, so that's why we're calling this albatross a feathered force. Let's find out what this is all about in today's lesson. Let's read the first part, and we will be right back to discuss it.
A feathered force. A fishing boat out on the open ocean may go days without passing another vessel. This makes it particularly easy to fish illegally, since there's no one watching. By law, ships must continuously send out signals that broadcast their location and identity. If they want to fish without a license, they just turn the signal machine off. Sneaky, right?
大家好，第一部分我们看到名词 vessel 指船、舰、血管，像是 My boat is a small vessel compared to the other ones in the harbor. 我的船和港口其他船相比是一艘小船。或是 If you eat a lot of fatty foods, your blood will not move easily through your blood vessels. 如果你吃很多高油脂的东西，你的血液就会很难通过血管。再来，我们看到单字 sneaky， 这个字是形容词，指偷偷摸摸的、鬼鬼祟祟的，像是 Eve can be quite sneaky, so I wouldn't trust her if I were you. Eve 蛮鬼鬼祟祟的，若我是你，我不会相信她。或是 If we're sneaky, we should be able to get into the house without waking up my parents. 如果我们偷偷摸摸，也许我们可以不把我爸妈吵醒，溜进屋里。
Okay, the name of our article is A Feathered Force. Yes, the albatross. It's a force to be reckoned with. Be afraid. Be very afraid of the fearsome albatross. Well, I imagine you could talk about a force as being scary in this way, but that's not what we'll be getting at today. Apparently, a feathered force, this title here is going to refer to how the albatross can be used to enforce laws, maybe. Well, maybe they can help with the enforcement of laws, but I think you're starting to come around to the idea. But how does this all work? That's what we're going to start talking about right now. The first sentence of our lesson says, a fishing boat out on the open ocean may go days without passing another vessel. So there you go. You're out on the open ocean in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, let's say. We're talking about a huge expanse of space out there. You can go out on the open ocean there on the Pacific and not see anybody else, any other boat for days on end or without passing another vessel. So there you go. When you're out on the open ocean there, you can pretty much call any boat a vessel.
You can. It just refers to a large boat in the ocean, a vessel. Remember, you could go to the naval base in Alameda, California, and see the nuclear vessels there. But in this particular case, if you're out on the open ocean, you could go for days without passing another ship, without passing another vessel. And this makes it particularly easy to fish illegally since there's no one watching. So yeah, if you want to go out there and catch some halibut or some salmon or whatever, if they're out there in the ocean and you've already passed your quota, but you still want more and you still want to sell those fish for a high price, you could do that pretty easily because you're out there in the ocean and there's no one watching. There's no one out there to catch you doing something wrong.
There you go. Now, there are regulations in place to keep illegal fishing from happening. It says by law, ships must continually send out signals that broadcast their location and identity. So these ships, they kind of have to regulate themselves. They have to send these signals out to tell people, okay, this is where we are. This is what we are doing. Okay, so hopefully this kind of cuts down or helps to cut down on illegal fishing. But what happens if you don't self-regulate? Let's say you don't send out those signals. No one is going to know where you are or what you're doing, so you could still illegally fish. So how can we keep tabs on these fishermen who want to do nasty things like illegal fishing? Anyways, it says by law, ships must continuously send out signals. Now, if you do something continuously, you do that without stopping. You do it over and over again, and you don't pause for a long time in between.
Yeah, I remember one month, many years ago, during the month of March, it rained continuously for the whole month. It rained every day, one day after the other. Of course, it stopped sometimes, but basically there was rain every day, continuously, all through the month. And here, ships have to constantly send out that signal. They have to broadcast that signal so that everybody else in the world knows their location and their identity. Your location, of course, is where you are. It might be according to latitude and longitude or something like that, and the minutes and divisions thereof. But yeah, you've got to send out that signal so they can use those global positioning satellites to figure out exactly where you are, and maybe they can figure out what you're doing, and hopefully it will be something legal.
There you go. They have to send out these signals. They have to transmit them, send them across the airwaves, something like that. That's the idea there. Anyways, for these naughty people out there, let's say they want to fish without a license. They want to fish illegally. What do you do then? Well, if they want to fish without a license, our article continues, they just turn the signal machine off. There you go. So if they're not sending out that signal, no one's going to know where they are, who they are, what they're doing, etc., and they can start to fish illegally. Sneaky, right?
Sneaky, yeah, or maybe that's clever. We could also say sneaky means you're doing something that you don't want other people to notice. Sometimes children are sneaky when they're trying to get out of the house and go meet their friends in the park or something like that. They're being very sneaky, or even adults can be sneaky sometimes when they're trying to rob banks or whatever. So yeah, sneaky, trying to do something and not be seen.
There you go. Sneaky, 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 clever in kind of a negative way. They're flying under the radar there. No one is going to notice them doing this terrible, terrible stuff. And yes, illegal fishing is terrible. Very often people hunt species that are in high demand, like tuna and stuff like that, or maybe they harvest the fins from sharks, and this is not good, both of those species right now. Or I should say, certain species of tuna and shark are endangered. They're threatened. So here people know they can make extra money on top of things by hunting these endangered or threatened species, and that's just not a good thing for us, for the oceans, so on and so forth. So how can we keep tabs on these sneaky, illegal fishermen? We'll start to talk about that right after a short break.
However, a new recruit may soon be helping to police the seas, and it could be a game changer. Researchers have found the world's largest seabird, the albatross, is especially good at spotting fishing boats. They fly vast distances across the open ocean, and are attracted to fishing vessels because of their delicious cargo. Scientists attach tiny GPS trackers to the bird's feathers. These devices can detect the radar signals that ships use to navigate safely. The trackers beam back data, which can be used to check which boats have turned off their location signal. In the future, authorities could be alerted to those areas where illegal fishing is happening. For now, scientists are investigating whether turtles or other types of seabird can serve as cops as well.
第二部分，我们看到名词 recruit 指新成员、新兵，例如 as HR assistant manager.Your responsibilities will include organizing orientation presentations for new recruits. 身为人资协理，你的职责包含为新同仁做公司介绍简报。另外，这个字也可以当动词，指招募、招聘。举例来说 ，We need to recruit some new people to the marketing department. 我们的行销部需要招募一些新人。接着，我们看到单字 cargo， 这个字是名词，指以船、飞机、车辆等载装的货物，像是Once the plane was loaded with cargo, it was ready to take off. 待飞机装好货物，就准备起飞。最后，我们看到单字 navigate， 这个字是动词，指航行于驾驶船只或飞机，导航。像是 Because of the frequent rocks and sandbars, it's going to be a challenge to navigate down this river. 因为有很多岩石和沙洲，要在这条河里航行是一个挑战。或是The fisherman navigated his boat through the dangerous rocky water. 渔夫驾船穿越危险多礁的水域。再举一个例子 The pilot navigated the ship into the busy harbor. 领航员将船导进那个繁忙的港口。另外，除了上面的意思，这个字还有以下两种用法。第一，指驾驭、成功应付。例如 The company successfully navigated the economic crisis. 那间公司成功应付了经济危机。第二，指摸索、寻找方向。举例来说 These maps can help tourists to navigate the city. 这些地图可以协助观光客探索这座城市。
Okay, so you might be asking, well, what do albatrosses have to do with fishermen out in the ocean trying to fish illegally by turning off their signal? Well, a new recruit may soon be helping to police the seas, however. Okay, so here we've got the word police, and police usually is a noun referring to the boys in blue who come out there and try to make society nice and peaceful and make sure we all get along and stuff like that. But here we're using the word police as a verb. That just means you go out there and you make sure people aren't doing things that are naughty, okay? So you could police the streets, for example. You could police the country, or you could police the seas like they're doing here.
And also, it says here that there's a new recruit. If someone is recruited, let's say, they're going to be signed up to do something, okay? A recruit is just someone who has signed up or who has been signed up to do something. And yes, apparently people are recruiting albatrosses to be a new force out there on the oceans. I don't think you can actually recruit albatrosses, but it sounds like here they're going to be used or utilized in some way, shape, or form. In that way, they can be said to be recruits. Okay, they're not going to be signed up, but they are going to be utilized in a way that a real recruit might be utilized. And yes, this might be a real big game changer. By the way, if something is a game changer, it's going to make a big difference.
Exactly. So, for example, if they ever adopt hydrogen power, that could be a big game changer. People will stop using gasoline and they'll start using hydrogen power. The whole world will change as a result. So, yeah, anytime there's a big change in the world, we call the thing that causes that change a game changer. So here, using albatrosses to police the seas could be a big game changer. It could change the situation of illegal fishing really severely. Now, researchers have found that the world's largest seabird, the albatross, is especially good at spotting fishing boats. Okay, so scientists or researchers have recently discovered this. Hey, this big bird that flies out there over the ocean for weeks at a time, hey, that bird is actually good at spotting fishing boats. For some reason, they know where those fishing boats are, and maybe we could recruit those albatrosses to help us catch those illegal fishermen.
There you go. Now let's move on. The next sentence says, albatrosses, they fly vast distances across the open ocean and are attracted to fishing vessels because of their delicious cargo. And this much I knew already. These seabirds are gigantic and they fly vast distances. They can cover a huge amount of ground when they are flying around the oceans there, over the oceans there, I should say. And yes, they follow fishing vessels because albatrosses eat fish. And these boats, they're carrying fish. The albatrosses are attracted to this delicious cargo of fish.
Now, scientists attach tiny GPS trackers to the bird's feathers. Okay, so that's what scientists are doing here to track the albatrosses. They attach these trackers to the bird's feathers. Okay, so they're taking these GPS sensors or these trackers and they are, setting them on the bird's feathers, and these trackers will stay there and they'll send information to satellites. You get the idea.
How clever. Now here, this GPS tracker, it's basically a device that will use GPS to track someone, to tell people where they are. And further, if you attach something to something else, you basically connect that thing to another thing. To attach means to join or to connect.
And these devices can detect the radar signals that ships use to navigate safely. So yes, they've got these devices and they can, read or detect those radar signals coming from those fishing boats, and the fishing boats use those signals to navigate safely. Here, navigate as a verb just means to figure out where you're going, to know which direction is north, which way is south. Sometimes ships navigate by the stars, or at least they did hundreds of years ago. Now they use radar and other sophisticated equipment to get around on the ocean. They navigate safely.
Now, more on these trackers. The trackers beam back data, which can be used to check which boats have turned off their location signal. There you go. And once that signal goes off, you know that someone is up to no good. This is very clever. I am liking this. Now, albatrosses are great, but maybe other sea creatures could help with this particular activity. That's what we learn next. Yes, for now, scientists are investigating whether turtles or other types of seabird can serve as cops as well. Cops, like a police person, like a person who's a part of the police force. So there you go. We've come full circle. This is going to be a feathered force.
Indeed, and hopefully the illegal fishermen will not catch on to this action and start killing those innocent birds. Boy, I bet scientists would feel bad about that if it resulted in the deaths of thousands of albatrosses. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。科学家把小型 GPS 追踪器系在信天翁的羽毛上，他们就可以帮忙侦测到船只的雷达讯号了。那读到课文倒数第二句 In the future, authorities could be alerted to those areas where illegal fishing is happening. 好，句子里面用到动词 alert， 它是指说使警觉、使注意或是发出警报。这个字也可以当形容词来形容保持警觉的。接 戒备的。那么当名词则是指警戒、警报。我们可以用 be on high alert 来表达高度警戒、高度戒备中。那么用 be on full alert 则是指处于全面戒备的状态。好，另外我们要来学习 where 当关系副词的用法。关系副词 where 就相当于介系词加 which， 像是 at which 或是 in which 等等。那它可以用来引导形容词子句去修饰跟地点相关的先行词。好，那这个用法是有分成限定用法跟非限定用法。首先，当先行词是不明确的地点时，要用限定用法，那么 where 的前面不加逗号。这时候呢 where 引导的关系子句，它紧接在先行词后面去限定它的范围。例如 This is a place where you can feel at home。 这是一个你可以感到自在的地方，像在自己家里一样舒适的地方。那么由于先行词 a place 一个地方，它是不明确的地点，所以要用限定用法。where 的前面就不加逗号咯。我们用关系子句 where you can feel at home 紧接在 a place 后面去限定它的范围，说明是一个你可以感到自在的地方。好，那么当先行词是明确的地点时，要用非限定用法。where 引导的关系子句要用逗号跟句子隔开。关系子句的功能就是用来对先行词做补充说明。例如 We went to Dawn Forest Park where the outdoor concert was held。 我们去大安森林公园，户外音乐会就在那里举行。好，由于大安森林公园是明确的地点，不需要限定范围，所以我们是用非限定用法。这时候 where 的前面要加逗号。那么关系子句 where the outdoor concert was held 是用来对大安森林公园做补充说明，所以记得用逗号隔开后面那个关系子句呢，是补充说明用。好，回头来看看课文的句子。先行词 those areas 那些区域，这是不明确的地点，我们不知道它是指哪些区域，所以这时候它是用限定用法，后面直接接了 where 引导的关系子句去限定它的范围。那么 where 的前面没有加逗号。 Those areas where illegal fishing is happening 表示正在非法捕鱼的区域。那这时候这个 where 就相当于 in which。 好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Vessel. When a cruise ship or other large vessel needs to pass, the bridge is raised to let it through. Continuously. The machines in the factory operate continuously. Location. I don't know the location of the nearest bank, but I can easily check online. Vast. The national park covers a vast area of mountains, lakes, and forests. Cargo. Cargo goes in the bottom of the airplane. Attach. Emily attached a note to the book and then left it on her friend's desk. Navigate. Sailors have special equipment to help them navigate across the ocean.
Discussion Starter starts now!
Roger, it is now time for our discussion starter. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you think of any other examples of animals that have been put to work to help humans do unusual tasks?
Well, let's see. I think I have heard of dolphins doing this. The animal that comes to mind is the dolphin because it helps people by finding things that have fallen to the bottom of the ocean. All you have to do is tell the dolphin that you dropped your digital camera off the boat at this particular location, and then the dolphin will go down and bring it back for you. How about you?
Now, another useful animal is the dog. And you might be thinking, oh, of course, everybody knows that dogs are useful, but bear with me. Dogs these days are being used more and more in hospitals to smell cancer. I'm not joking you here. Dogs apparently are very good at detecting certain types of cancer by way of smell. Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.